There is a question that I want to pose to you today that may sound strange, especially coming from a financial advisor. And that question is there a point where saving more for retirement actually stops helping you? Most people I talk to assume the answer is no, that of course saving more, setting yourself up better for the future must always be the better option. Well, after years of working with disciplined savers much like yourselves, many of whom have done really everything right for the most part, I've learned that there is a point where things do start to shift. And if you don't recognize that shift, you can unintentionally be trading away flexibility, joy, and stewardship opportunities, all in the name of being responsible and saving more. So let's break that down a little bit more. Earlier in your career, in your life, saving more really is everything. That is the main thing that is going to drive your net worth growing and growing that nest egg. Compound interest can't work on zero. So if you have $10,000 invested, a 10% return is only $1,000. So adding new dollars to that pot far more outweighs your investment performance. You gotta grow that nest egg for compound interest to have its magical effect. But that equation, as I'm sure many of you have seen now that you're getting towards retirement age, that equation starts to change. If you have $1,000,000 invested, you get a 10% market return. That adds $100,000 to your portfolio. So even though you are now probably a high income earner, being able to put away $35,000, $50,000 a year, having a great year in the market, or even just a good year in the market, adds more to your portfolio than your hard work does towards the end of your savings years. At this stage, how you invest begins to matter much more than how much you save. Now, this doesn't mean that you stop saving, but it does mean that saving harder, saving more may no longer be the highest impact move that you can make. And here is where this becomes especially important. Many people approach retirement qualified rich. Now, don't hear me wrong that I'm saying you now qualify as being rich. What I'm meaning is that most of your wealth is sitting in 401ks, traditional IRAs, and other pre-tax type accounts. All of these qualified accounts that are pre-tax. And that made sense while you were working because you got those deductions and that money was able to grow and you not have to realize those taxes now while you were in your highest income earning years. But continuing to pour money into those accounts, what that does is it increases your future tax exposure. It reduces the flexibility that you're going to be able to have in retirement, and it limits options if you want to maybe retire early or if you want to give more or have pivots, again, just taking away that flexibility. Every additional dollar that you are putting into a pre-tax account is a future tax decision that you're going to have to make, not just a savings decision now. And I don't want to beat down pre-tax accounts. If you are still a very high income earner, getting those pre-tax deductions and doing some tax planning down the road can still be what makes the most sense for you. But we want to just talk through options and you not be putting money into those pre-tax accounts blindly. And at some point, it does become wise to ask, would these dollars serve you better somewhere else? And this is where taxable brokerage accounts come into play. These accounts add in a lot of flexibility and start to become incredibly valuable. They allow you to retire earlier without penalties or without having to plan around your qualified accounts. They allow you to control your taxable income year to year. They allow you to harvest gains at favorable rates, and they allow you to also do some tax loss harvesting as well to help control your tax situation. And they also give you some great planning opportunities with your giving as well. And what many people don't often realize with these brokerage accounts is that they are taxed completely differently than your pre-tax qualified accounts. Those pre-tax accounts are taxed at income tax rates, while your brokerage account is taxed at capital gains tax rates. And with proper planning, those long-term capital gains can often be accessed at very low, sometimes even zero federal tax rates. And that flexibility is hard to replicate once your assets are locked behind age rules and required distributions in those qualified accounts. And again, this isn't about abandoning retirement accounts. They do serve a purpose and they are are very helpful in the grand picture of your retirement planning. It's just about approaching everything with balance and with wisdom, setting yourself up as best as possible for future. And this is again one of those places where the conversation moves beyond just math. I've never had a client say, I wish I had skipped building meaningful memories and having meaningful experiences with the people that I love so that I could have died with the most money possible. Never ever heard anyone say that, or any of my colleagues work with people who have said anything like that. But I have met people who have worked longer, who have delayed retirement, and who have lived more constrained lives than necessary and than they really wanted to, simply because they never paused to ask, do we already have enough? And the goal of a financial plan isn't to have the highest balance. It isn't to have the biggest return on your investments. A lot of people approach financial planning that way, just wanting to have their money return as much as possible. It's not even about what is most optimized on a spreadsheet. The goal of having all of this money, having these assets, is so that you can have a life that is well lived. That is the whole point. A life that is marked by peace, marked with purpose, and allows you to be generous if that is something that you care about. One of my favorite questions to ask clients is, what do you want to do? In other words, how much are you or do you want to spend on your joy? Not what are you spending on your necessities, on bills, on obligations, but on things that bring you life, on trips with your family, on relationships, hobbies, experiences, generosity and giving to causes and to people that you care about. For many disciplined savers, the answer is surprisingly low. People tend to not think that they can be spending as much on these things as they want. And again, that is the whole point of why you have saved your entire life, so now that you can live a life well lived. And as a general rule of thumb, if you've worked hard and you've saved well, it's healthy to intentionally allocate a portion of your resources, even if it's small, towards joy and meaning now, not just someday in the future. Making sure that you are doing the things that you want to be doing while you are healthy and while you are able. And there's nothing wrong with being a saver. Discipline is a huge gift. It's what has gotten you where you are today, and it served you very, very well. But wisdom is knowing when that strategy just needs to change a little bit, when things need to shift. And at some point, investing well outweighs saving more. So how you are invested transitioning into retirement makes more of a difference than just saving more. Flexibility matters more than optimization. So maybe what looks the best on the spreadsheet isn't always what is best for you if you are sacrificing flexibility. And stewardship looks a lot like aligning your plan, your investments, your financial plan with your values, not just the accumulation of more. And if this made you think differently about your situation, or if you have questions, I'd love to hear what stood out and leave a comment below. And if you're wondering whether your current savings strategy is still serving your bigger picture, that's exactly the kind of conversations that I help families with every day. If you want to click below in the link in our bio, you can schedule a time to chat with myself, or you can just go on our website and do the retirement quiz to see if you are on track for retirement and if you do have enough, so that you can maybe stop saving as much or be worried about if you are saving enough. Hope this video was helpful here for you. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.